Dear Ather, please make scooters great again. The last time I rode the Ather 450X was more than 3 years ago, and I have not ridden an Ather or any electric scooter since then. So yes, I have a lot of catching up to do. I've seen a lot of changes happen and a lot of new players in the market ever since, but I chose to keep myself from riding EVs. Why, you'd ask? Well, this story is exactly about that. I had the pleasure of riding the newly launched 2025 Ather 450X, and I rode it at the Aruani Grid in Bangalore last month, and as fun as the experience was, there were some thoughts that I took home to feed on to. But let's first see what's new on the Ather 450X. Well, at the first glance, it unfortunately looks exactly the same with two new colorways this time around. But fortunately, the 450X still doesn't look outdated yet. We'll get back to this yet very soon. On the inside, however, things have grown. While the 450Xs have the same battery sizes from before at 2.9 and 3.7 kWh, their range has increased substantially. The 2.9 kWh battery now gives 110 km of true range, while the 3.7 variant gives 130 km of true range. And these are not IDC numbers but realistic range estimations that Ather has been quite precise with. And that puts Ather back into the range game. Moving on from the boring numbers, Ather now has adopted the magic twist from its newer siblings, the Rizta and the Apex. For the uninitiated, magic twist is a fancier regenerative braking that allows you to decelerate the scooter by twisting the throttle in the opposite direction, while regenerating energy back to the battery. However, as opposed to other EV makers, the magic twist regen works even above 80% of battery charge, making it an actual habit-worthy feature that even I grew to like on my short ride on the track. It was something new that I tried for the first time and found it more convenient to use than just my brakes. Of course, at higher speeds you do need to apply brakes, and this is where I have the grudges. 4 years ago, when the Ather 450X launched, it had dual discs with a combi brake system and no ABS. When I rode it for the first time, I did not like the fact that it had just combi brakes for the price it came at. 4 years later, the 2025 450X still comes with the same combi brakes and no ABS even as an option. I understand that regulations don't make it mandatory for electric scooters to have ABS, but when you consider the amount of performance the 450X offers and boasts about, ABS could have been the bare minimum, especially in 2025. I have more to rant about the brakes, but we'll circle back to it after I'm done talking about the other changes. On the brighter side, the 450X now gets 3 levels of traction control: road, rain and rally. Now, traction control on a 125cc equivalent scooter seems a bit of a gimmick, and I had my reservations. Testing the road mode on the road was just as expected. Normal. The rain mode was noticeable, with intrusions only when required on wet and slippery surfaces. Ather claims to register about 1000 inputs per second for the traction control to regulate the amount of power going to the wheel, which honestly sounds like a fancy marketing claim, but it looks like it works. Even if I wrung the throttle completely, the wheels got only the power they could grip the wet surface with, and there were no abrupt intrusions of the traction control even in the most reserved rain mode. The newer MRF Zapper tires help with the grip too. But when I happened to use the rally mode, especially in the slush, it instantly brought a little smile to my face. I'll tell you exactly where and how. You see, the rally mode is like that cool uncle in your family, while the rain mode acts like a parent that doesn't let you risk it and controls your moves constantly. The rally mode lets you have some fun and takes hold of things only when you're out of control. I was told to wring the throttle on my way out of the puddle to let the wheel spin, and despite being slightly underconfident in slippery situations, I decided to let the scooter do its thing after a safe first attempt. And when I did, initially the wheel spun and my rear swung over to the left, and right before I could react, the traction control regulated the power to the rear wheel and I was back in line. This happened in seconds and I felt like the scooter was trying to tease me with no sense of control and brought it right back as soon as I felt like I lost it. That's where I got that shocking smile on my face. But that smile was cut right off immediately after, as soon as I hit the brakes. The last time I had this smile on my face on an Ather was the first time I tested the warp mode. The instant torque was new, it was shocking, and something that I had not seen any other vehicle do. And Ather brought that excitement to the Indian market, where we just had Chinese skateboards with bigger wheels and a boot space that could ride at 20 km per hour. Ather came and broke the mold. It showed the market how it's done, and the industry took notes. Since then, there are a lot of new players, and Ola, TVS and Bajaj are the biggest of them all. While Ola came in super hot with tall claims and promises, basically lying their way to whatever success they could get hold of, they are still struggling both on hardware and software fronts. Bajaj and TVS took the more reserved and conventional approach to scooters, prioritizing on practicality than performance. And with Honda coming next with the most underwhelming solution to EV scooters, Ather still holds the edge in terms of an exciting and aspirational product. They also have a more traditional product called the Rizta to cater to the more practical and family-oriented customers. But Ather has its strange ways of disappointing. As soon as I got out of the puddle with that smile on my face, I naturally went around the curve and grabbed my rear brake, expecting a drifty turn, only to slow down with a very embarrassing dip at the front. This is where I remembered it has combi brakes. When you have a traction mode that you call the rally mode, and it surely works very well, but you don't compensate with equally good brakes and give the same old combi braking system that is ideal on the streets, it's either your intelligence or your intent that gets a mark that looks like this. Even a lay person could tell that having a combined braking system doesn't make any sense in an off-road situation, where your braking is predominantly on the rear. Let alone the fact that you don't have switchable ABS, because you don't have ABS to begin with. Neither can you configure your braking ratios off the front and back to suit your purpose. Heck, even the modes don't have different braking configurations to suit different riding scenarios. So if you have a traction mode that is meant for rally and you don't have the braking to complement rally riding, what is in question? Your intelligence that somehow did not think of this, or your intent that knew this but did not bother to work on it? Ather obviously knew this and was smart enough to make modes in just the traction control and not a ride mode as a whole. Where there are eco, ride, sport and warp, a rally mode could have been a great addition to make it an exciting package. But Ather decided to work on just the traction control and rally on that. Pun intended. I did talk to the R&D team about the combi brakes and my issue with them and asked for a probable solution, to which they suggested me to use the magic twist instead of the brakes to lock the rear wheel in the dirt, which is kind of a solution that works but not as much as I'd like it to. There is no substitute to having good brakes that work as they're supposed to, and a combi braking setup doesn't work in the rally mode as it's supposed to. Period. So that was the one and only grudge I have with the 450X. But I'm still looking towards a hopeful future. While the legacy manufacturers are playing it extremely safe and taking a conventional approach with their tech, Ather fell back in terms of practicality that the Indian customers demanded. And the Ather Rizta was the answer to that. Now that they have a separate product and assembly line working on that demand, Ather now has nothing holding them back. They have the edge with a strong R&D team, and that's 10 folds better than having a manufacturing advantage that the other players in the market have. The Magic Twist, the Rally Traction Mode are great innovations that are genuinely good and absolutely a step in the right direction. Ather has been very deliberate with their growth, both in terms of sales and after-sales service. The software has been super stable, the range estimation numbers are on point, the battery is extremely reliable with 8 years of good health assurance, and a very impressive service track record. The last time I rode the Ather, it had just 9 charging stations in Mumbai, and now there are 34 and almost 3,500 charging stations countrywide. Ather has everything going their way, and I feel they should double down on it. I've been reached by almost all electric two-wheeler brands to ride their vehicles, but I've not ridden any of them for the last 3 years because honestly I did not find anything exciting enough. My biases may shine through my words while I talk about Ather, but they are the only brand that I feel that can spice things up rather than just chest thumping cluelessly. Give us the aspirational Ather the market needs that is just pure performance, while the Rizta fights the conventional scooters with its boot space, seat space and battery range. I dream of riding an Ather that looks new and fresh, has bigger wheels, wider tires, a dedicated rally mode that has the rally traction control and switchable ABS, and even adjustable suspensions that can ride as well in the dirt as it does on the racetrack. That will be the aspirational purchase for enthusiasts like me who would love to own and spend money on. Dear Ather, please make scooters great again. Thank you for watching.